These been a little bit better. So
Yeah, it was a whole lot more complicated to do and go through that process. We're over there. Uh, to be honest with you, I didn't think I'd get a lot of takers for chair for vice chair. And some of I talked to a couple of the individuals along the way, and I was like, "There's no one going to sign up for this." But anyway, it's annual, so if it's just keep everything the same, that'll be a quick vote, Jen. And then if you have to jump up for any portion, we're really just gonna cover basically where all the groups are at, see where we're at, see if any of them are ready to get in front of the Board of County Commissioners yet, or if there's still some research they're doing on that part of it. And then introduce, we've got a new person, there's a representative from the city legislative authorities, and they're now done, which was she's escaping my name right now. Holy Moses. Out in the valley, was her name again?
Laura Patton.
Laura Patton, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Laura Patton. And so we put that out for folks to do, and we had one person come forward that was interested in it. And then we kind of just let it hang there to see if there's any other nominations for it. We did have one that stepped forward that is that is not involved with the legislative authorities. It was Brandy Peets. But we put it out there again to see where it would lie. And it looks like Terry Cooper, who's from Medical Lake, the mayor out there, has put her name in the hat for it. So we're more than likely have Terry step in and do that as well. But again, that's all for all of us to decide. And so we'll get those out of the way pretty quick, Commissioner, or I'm sorry, Judge, and then we'll move from there. You can tell my world's with commissioners all the time. It's just like on and on and on.
You're fine.
God, I know. Well, and I just got back. Justin has seen me since, but I just got back. I had orthoscopic surgery on my knee. And, you know, the first week of it was really brutal, but it's getting better as time goes on. You can do a bit more. The part that's bugging me about it is that you can't move left or right. As long as I'm going straight ahead, everything is great. But if I try to pivot or turn, that's when it gives me the big owie. And so, and COVID's running rapid over here. So I would stay out of this building over here. Don't go over to the jail either, because we have it over there as well. So.
hey, Mike, I see in the participants, we had a couple that need to get in, like the sheriff, and I think Judge Finn. Oh, there we go. They're moving over as we speak. So we can go get started.
Okay. They need to get moved. Is Medea moving them over on the panel? I think so. Okay, good. Super. Yeah. One of the things too is that Justin, in moving forward, I really like to have an opportunity to speak with Maggie and your group to see what kind of commonalities we have on some of those fronts, and then you know, ways that we can work together on some of these things and on our pathways forward. So if I don't throw that invite now, I don't know if she'll be present today, but I'll throw that there in advance. So
Right. And that's our hope, that we'd be able to do something like that. Maggie's portfolio hasn't been sort of announced yet, but most likely scenario is that she's going to be taking on the criminal justice side and coordinating all of that. So yeah, we want to make sure that everyone's connected.
Well, it always had a great working relationship with her. She just brings a lot to the table. So she's going to be a good person to kind of put an inner tube across the river, if we would, just so that we can keep working on these things together collaboratively. And so I want to make sure that, you know, at least put that out there. And if you have an opportunity, I don't see her before then, then we try to do that as well. And I know you guys have got some time to get together, meet, figure out where goals and functions and what you guys are working on, along with probably the mayor's input on some of the direction on where it's going and those type of things. And so I recognize you guys have some legwork to do up front, but when you guys, the dust settles a little bit, it would be nice to do that. And then while I got, well, let me wait another 5 minutes and I'll go through the public portion of it, and then we can get talking. I want to talk about JMI to Justin and bring up some of the things that they did. Yeah. But I don't know how you ended up with the vice chair of their core group, but I like it. I like it. Well, I mean, you just seem to be the de facto person they go talk to.
I'm the old soul, the one that's been there since the beginning. So I have
You're the
institutional
OG.
knowledge.
Hey, I'll take it. I was like, oh, that works out fine for me.
The sad part is, Mike, I have kept all of these, probably more than people want to know, but I've kept all of our group photos from the very beginning on my desk. And back in the olden days, they even gave us, these are pretty funny to look back at, some of them. So
They are. You've got pictures, isn't the last one has Carmen Pacheco in it, doesn't it?
it does.
I
Yeah.
do have it.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the reason they call me is because I literally been there since 2015.
Yeah. Well, no, we had a meeting after that, didn't we? Did we get a group photo on that one? When Judge Logan was able to join and I don't know, we did not. That was when I came back with COVID from that one. That was a fun. We're Atlanta. It was Atlanta, Georgia. That's where it was at. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll start it off while we're waiting here with my script. Greetings, everyone. Today's SRLJC meeting will be open for public comment for up to 15 minutes. As a reminder, there's a 3-minute limit per individual. Speakers should address the matters which they are within the powers and duties of the SRLJC. Speakers should also identify themselves and address the chair. Council members will not engage in dialogue with the speaker. If you would like to comment and have not done so already, send a chat message to the administrative assistant. That's Medea on the web right now. And then she will give you a speaker number and we'll take it in the order in which your number is. And then we will start that now. So we'll give it a few minutes to see if there's anybody either electronically or in person that would wish to talk during this period. So. Okay, but have you got anything electronically or by telephone or in person in the chat that wish to open up with some public conversation or questions?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. I'll let it go until 10 after, and then I will close out the open public forum, and then we'll get on with our agenda. Okay, it is now 10 after the hour. But do you have a second check to see if we have any comments to one of the three vendors?
We do not.
We do not. Having none come forward, I'm going to close the open public forum at this time and move on to our agenda for January 10th, 2024. Opening up the agenda, we'll talk about the acceptance of the October 11th SRLJC minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as stated?
Motion to approve the October 11th, 2023 SRLJC minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. All those in the favor, any opposed? I'm sorry. Okay, favor say aye.
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 All that are present have said aye, so the motion will carry. Okay, moving on to the next, the biggie, the chair and the vice chair. The nominations were just beating down my door. I had them stepped under my door, had them in my mailbox, had them by telephone. I'm just kidding. No one came forward to be the chair and vice chair. At this point, since I'm the chair and Justin is the vice chair, I would first ask Justin if you would like to be the chair, and I would take a secondary spot as vice chair, or would you like to have it continue on as the way that it is, Justin?
I'm not putting my name in for chair, so.
Okay, okay. All right, anybody have any nominations for chair? Okay, yeah. Do we have any Medea?
Mike, I would nominate Mike Sparber for chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other nomination? All those in favor of me staying on as the chair, say aye.
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 Welcome back, Mike Sparber. All right,
Congratulations.
congrats, Mike. Steve, God, I missed that. I could have got Steve involved with this. Oh, anyway, okay. So do I have a nominee for vice chair?
I nominate Justin Bigham.
I second that nomination. All in favor of Justin Bingham staying on as vice chair for another year, say aye.
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 Welcome back, Justin. Yeah, so we'll continue on as business as it is going. Over our little break period, we had Laura Patton's tenure had come due as far as the bylaws, according to SRLJC. We opened it up for a representative for the city legislative authorities. During that period of time, one person had stepped forward and expressed her interest in it, and that's Mayor Terry Cooper from Medical Lake. Expressed that she would like to do it. We did have a secondary phone call from a person that is not an elected official, which is Brandy Peets. So in fairness, I'll present both names out there for vote. I'll start off with all those in favor of Brandy Peets stepping into that role, say aye.
Well, I do have a quick question.
Okay.
So I know Jennifer Morton was putting in for the racial equity position, but she is a council member with Airway Heights. So I don't know if she's been reached out to as to filling this position on the board, since there was question as to whether she could fill the racial equity position.
You know, she didn't pose that to me, Judge. Medea, I'm assuming she was involved with all of the email string that went out. Medea. He's probably checking to see if she was on the string. But is that something that she'd expressed interest in? Do you know, Judge?
I don't, but I just know that there was question as far, because her application was already put forth for the racial equity, and there were some, questions and concerns as to whether she could be put into that position because she's a council member and could potentially fill the legislative side. So I don't know if that was vetted to her or not.
Okay, she actually has sent some information forward. She seems pretty eager on the racial inequity side and getting busy on that part of it. I would, at the recommendation of the council, reach out to her if that's something we want to table for now, and see if that's something that she'd be interested in, therefore opening up the racial inequity position again for selection. Go ahead, Justin.
So Mike, that's the one question I had. I was at a conference, the last meeting that SRLJC had in October. And so I was uncertain as to what had happened with that nomination, because I think the meeting before we had sort of legal analysis done, and it was determined that theoretically she could serve in that. While it's not optimal based upon sort of what the spirit of the document was, there was no legal requirement or disability to her simply because she was an elected official. So I don't know what happened with her nomination for race equity.
It was submitted to the Board of County Commissioners, and I'm surprised it was all over the news, but they selected her as filling the role as I'm sorry, yeah. As
Then
a
it should
racial-
be done.
Yeah. So we, but you
I
know,
thought
Jimmy,
they had, I
Go ahead.
thought the board had tabled it until after we met again. Because if she was selected, then she should be here.
yeah, no,
I thought I remember seeing that she was selected by the board.
yeah, she is selected. She's not here today because she couldn't be in attendance. But she sent forth her notes and stuff for what her next steps are as far as the role position. So, John, did you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I checked the bylaws, and there's nothing in the bylaws that says that an elected official cannot serve on this council. So as far as our bylaws go, she is eligible, and I guess has been selected by the commissioners. One of the questions I had is how many names were put forward to the commissioners?
There was only her name and a previous name that was submitted before that. And they passed on the first name, which I'm going to say was Curtis Hampton. And then they went with Jennifer for the selection.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I was curious about that because I did talk to Curtis, and he did put his name in, and so it rests with the commissioners, and they have made a choice in Jennifer. Now, I suppose Jennifer could back out and seek this representative spot. But while we're on this topic, I want to somehow reach out to the, I don't know if it's former, but the Racial Equity Committee members that have met in the past and encourage them to join with Jennifer Morton or whomever takes that position. And let's get this Racial Equity Committee thing going again. And I thought of a way that we might be able to do that. There should be some kind of a record of previous Racial Equity Committee members and their emails. And I would like to see the council send out an email to each one of those people, encouraging them to reignite the Racial Equity Committee and get moving forward where we once were. And so.
Well, and I kind of second that before. I'd want to go back and see if she's interested in this other spot. We had such a challenge getting someone in that role and having the approval of the board that we have someone now, she's engaged. One of her first steps is doing just what you said, John, is re-engaging the former racial inequity group. And then her goals was to include those as part of her racial inequity team, you know, moving forward. So she has some good ideas on it. So that kind of brings me back to, you know, Mayor Cooper. And, you know, she had been selected for a spot already. She could always elect to, in 2 years, take this position as the legislative, you know, position. But I think there's some value in having somebody in place now, getting the ball rolling on the racial inequity side. But that's what I feel. And of course, I'd leave it up to what everybody else's conversation as well.
No, I mean, if Jennifer Morton's been selected for that
Yeah.
position, that's been the hardest position to fill. I say, you know, yes, definitely. If she's been selected and that's solidified, great. Keep her, I would keep her there. And we've got someone that's interested in the legislative side. So
Okay.
like you suggested, you know, certainly a couple of years down the road, if, you know, if people need to move around, that's great. But no, this has been the hardest position to fill. So I don't want to,
Yeah.
I don't want to tempt her to move.
Well, no, I agree. Justin,
If she's interested, most definitely.
Yeah, Mike, if the commissioners have acted on Jennifer Morton's nomination for the race equity, then this is all moot. It's already been decided. So I think what we need to decide is whether or not we think that Mayor Cooper would be a good legislative representative. And I would say that she is. She's been involved with the court system for many years as a court commissioner and worked, you know, with many of us in the past. And I think that she does have quite a bit of knowledge when it comes to criminal justice matters that many legislators simply don't have.
Yeah, her skill set is really well. She's been around the judicial process and the court system for a while. And then even in our conversation, she's got a great grasp on it. I personally think that she's got the good skill sets too, along with what Justin has indicated. So I'm happy to put her name forward as the potential. And I will add that it kind of the vagueness in the bylaws also goes along with, does this county legislative authority have to be an elected official in order to serve in that capacity? And it's gray. And I know that Brandy Peets had offered her name as a person potentially being involved with it. Some of you recall Brandy Peets has been involved with the council before. So she again, raised her hand. She was replaced by, Judge or Miss Patton. So I'm thinking that I keep calling Judge Patton. He's not even a judge anymore. Anyway, so what my thoughts would be is that I would just throw both names out there in fairness, and then we move forward with the majority of the vote. Because again, it kind of lies in the vagueness of what happened with the racial inequity group. It's not specific enough to say yes or no, but in fairness, I want to have an opportunity to get back to either party and say this is what occurred, unless anybody has something to the contrary of that. Justin?
Well, my position is pretty consistent with this position as it was with race equity, that the spirit of what we were trying to do were to bring in legislators. So for this position, I think that it really behooves us to put a legislator in to the municipal legislative authorities position. So
Absolutely.
just like as the other, so it's essentially, I'm saying this one we really should have a legislator, where on the other one I said we really shouldn't. So it just feels like we're going to have a representative. And I know Brandy, she's very passionate about this. She served in the Valley for a long time, as a really, a thoughtful person on these issues. But for this position, I think that, at least in my mind, that they need to be an elected official to hold the office.
Okay. Do I have anything
And I could-
contrary to that?
Well, no, and that's what I was going to second that, as far as the intent back in the day when the committee was first formed, was the fact that getting especially the smaller jurisdictions involved. And so that's where reaching out to, Medical Lake, Airway Heights, Cheney, Valley, Liberty Lake, you name it. If we can get individuals from those smaller jurisdictions, and Brandy was with the Valley, but certainly that was the intent behind that. And so I would second Terry Cooper as well.
All right. Then what I'll do is, well, first off, all in favor of selecting Mayor Terry Cooper to fulfill the spot for city legislative authority, raise their hand and say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then I will reach out to her along with Ms. Peets, and then I will give an explanation on how we arrived at our vote, and I will let Mayor Cooper know that she's invited to the next SRLJC meeting. So, okay, any other roundtable first? Anybody got anything for the good of the cause here, as far as MacArthur efforts? Wow, right. You guys are ball of fire today, but ate too much stuff over the holidays. So, okay, well, let's start with our focus groups. Why don't you go ahead and kick it off with Aaron Stromberg? Go ahead and kick us off, Aaron, on it.
Yeah, so didn't get a chance to get the whole group together, but Miss McNulty, Kelly Fox, and myself had a phone conference, just kind of reviewing the current state of the felony diversion program, looked over the guidelines from last year. No changes need to be made at this time, but we are in the process of just exploring how to widen the net, how to open the program up to more folks. In particular, we're kind of looking at maybe targeting the in-custody group. I know the lion's share of folks who make it on diversion are out of custody entrants, admittedly, because they're the folks who have the lesser criminal history or lack thereof. But it would be good to look at folks in on low bonds, low criminal history, and see if they might be potential diversion qualifiers and obviously alleviate in some small way jail overcrowding. We have a really good felony diversion program in place. We're always open to making useful changes and improvements to the program, making it more transparent. One thing we've kind of learned over the last year is the need to make program requirements and potential costs a little more transparent to these folks. Sometimes they sign up for it and then find out later it wasn't what they thought it was. So that's kind of an education process that we can spearhead between Colin, Katie, and myself. I've been talking with Colin about scheduling some presentations over there at his office about just getting his newer staff familiar with the programs that we offer here at Pretrial Services, just so it's on attorneys' radar as they're working their cases, that diversion's an option, and a number of the other programs we run in the office. So those are kind of the things we're going to be working on in the near future as far as the felony diversion program goes.
And then when do you think that you guys might be in a position to at least make a presentation to the board on some of your recommendations? You're a long ways off from recommendations, or where do you think it lies, Aaron?
That's a good question. We would need to meet at least one more time with the full group and see what we would want to put forward.
Okay.
So I would say at least one more meeting.
And do you think that that's going to be in the way of both technology, FTEs, or is it just, I don't know where your recommendations will come in that area as far as pulling it off, or require more people and that. So certainly want to have that.
Yeah.
And all the information behind it when we get ready to go with along with, the rationale behind it, what it does for the efficiency of the system, how it gets to the next steps, and broadens the net a little bit to getting some of those people involved with diversion rather than, like you said, in custody. It really hasn't been something you guys have talked about before. I'm really excited to hear about that part of it. So
yeah.
And also you met with JMI as well. And they had some good ideas. Some of the, most all of the research that Medea and I did, we sent out to your group to look at some of their diversion programs and so forth. We also sent them to JMI as part of their package to review it as well. Some of the work that the core group has been doing is they've been prioritizing and setting up kind of ranking based on, it's not all inclusive. It's based on prior pilots of the MacArthur Foundation, and it's kind of limited to those and what they felt were the most important, some of the most important initiatives to moving forward with. And Pretrial Services rose to the top, of course, along with the rest of them. So we really are interested in hearing on some of those. And felony diversion in particular was in the top 4, but I think it's a more inclusionary role of, what does that look like? Does it involve some other areas or some other branches of the courts as well? So looking forward to those conversations too, and then having them be a part. And then while I'm on that topic, our next meeting isn't scheduled till March. What I would like to propose is, and if this group is interested in doing it, is moving the meeting to the 3rd week of February and inviting JMI to come in and give a presentation on some of the things that we've been working on with the MacArthur Foundation and some of the priorities that we've set up and some things that they have seen. I really want the larger group of practitioners to take a look at the work and see if it makes sense. How does it affect your area and some of those types, to give you opportunity, because essentially what we're applying for is a capstone on the MacArthur grant. And we want to put our money in the best spot that we can if we're going to do it, our best foot forward. We've had enough pilots. What we're looking for is sustainability and bringing, breathing new life into those pilots to make them a more robust, long-term strategy for the justice system. So I'm really, really interested in hearing what all of you have to say. And if we send out an email, I just asked see if you're available or not available in that 3rd week of February, and then perhaps moving the meeting to that week so that we can have JMI come in and give a conversation. The reason for that week is on the last week of that, Mary Ann Clear, which is one of the members that is going out for a surgery. And so I wanted to have it in prior to that and have her have an opportunity to sit down and talk. And both Justin and I have been involved talking to him, and you too, Aaron, on a regular basis. So I think it's going to be beneficial for this group to kind of hear what's going on the MacArthur front, and then also have the ability to talk about some of those strategies we think is necessary moving forward. And of course, rideshare rolls right to the top. You know, rideshare is always at the top. There's not, the problem is we don't have a good sustainability, you know, portion of it. But can we? And then if we're gonna have a rideshare, you know, do we just limit it to a group? Because right now predominantly the impact made by the rideshare program is failure to compliance. And we'd like to shift a little bit of that, at least, you know, half of it. So it's addressing also the failure to appears on that side of it. And then also, is there a repivot on some of the supported release efforts? Could that better be served in a different area? There's a lot of things that we'd like to keep out in front of you guys and have you guys kind of weigh in on. So anyway, that was kind of a side note. Well, super, Aaron, then I'll just rely on you to let me know, since you kind of landed with it as being the chair of that one, on when you'd like to get in front of the board. Probably need at least a 2-week notice that you're in a position where you'd like to put something forward as some of the investment in the justice system. They're really interested in knowing what's coming out of the SRLJC. They want to see these recommendations and how, you know, what this body is doing, and as far as addressing some of the things in the blueprint of reform, and just the careful consideration that you all are doing, given the present circumstance of limited staff all over the place, you know, and then what, you know, what could actually be to be moved forward. So, okay. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, how about you, Tim? Therapeutic courts.
Yeah, we have gotten all the data now submitted to us from all the 3 court levels. We have everything we need now. So after our initial meeting, what we got to do now is we got to meet again, decipher all this information and go through it. And then I've been following your talking points to Aaron. We'll probably need to meet one more time after we have this next meeting before we get in front of the board to talk about what we recommend.
Okay.
So it'll probably be at least 2 more meetings for us. We need to go through all the data now that we've finally collected and see what we're looking at, what we're talking about, and then put that stuff into categories and then get ready to make a presentation, which will probably require another meeting just to coordinate our efforts.
Okay. And understand, Tim, it's okay to be high level right now, you know, because this is the first time it's being introduced to them. It will be the first time that they're going to understand that there's probably some financial, you know, aspects to it that they weren't aware of, you know, so it's okay for us to get out there and say, okay, this is going through, you know, this process and working through the blueprint reform, you know, going through this prioritization process. This is our high level look at where we see it at right now, and where we believe as a group collectively, our best efforts could be put forward to try to bring about some of these changes. And so I just want you, because I know you, Tim, when you give a presentation, you give one like no other one. Your stuff is right down to the last, you know, last dot and I, because you're really, really thorough. But understand, you don't really have to have everything figured out now, as much as them giving them the, you know, the information, knowing that there's something in works. There's some strategy. We're putting action to the blueprint of reform. We're doing something with it, and it's not just sitting there and not doing anything. And that's kind of what I would encourage, you know, at least for you, Tim, on your part of it too. And then, did I hear a rumor of a DV court getting started, or is that? I guess that's better to ask Jen. Jen will probably know better on that. I just heard it yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, it's already started." You know, I don't know what's going on with that. Where is it at, Jen?
It's in the inception. So Judge Smith is the, you know, lead on our therapeutic courts, and he's working with Judge Johnson, who does our DV docket. They're coordinating with the prosecutor's office on the grant that was originally established for felonies. So trying to get that rolling along. Maybe we might be able to add that to the list here shortly.
God, I hope that is so exciting. I hope that, yeah. Because we've all known that's a big area we've got to address. And you know, the big area about that domestic violence is the treatment for it is a year long. Who can do something for a year?
Well, we have a whole statewide committee going right now also on that. It's focusing on electronic home monitoring built around the Tiffany Hill Act. Tiffany Hill was a domestic violence survivor that was threatened by her ex-husband for a very, very long time. And finally, law enforcement rated her situation as extreme. And when they went forward to take action, he'd gotten close enough to her to end up killing her and wounding her mother.
Yeah.
So, and it's all about, kind of monitoring a GPS tracking system. But it has not been transitioned to civil protection orders, but now that's what we're talking about doing.
Nice.
And I could-
You've got your hand up in line for it if they take out grant money for it.
Well, and that's the biggest hurdle with the DV perpetrator program is unlike alcohol drug treatment, which is covered by health insurance, the domestic violence perpetrator program is not covered by any insurance. And so that's the biggest problem that we have with probation violations and folks not completing their treatment because they don't have the money to pay for it.
Right.
So that's where the effort lies.
And Mike, I can report the city's domestic violence intensive treatment court is stood up. And we have our first couple of participants in it. And just like Judge Fossbender said, the key issue is that the grant funding we receive helps pay for all the participants' DVIT treatment. Because without that, as you just noted, it's a year long, it's a massive commitment, it's a massive requirement, and it's also a pretty big bill. And so that is what our hope is, just like all the other people that are trying to build these courts out, is if we were able to provide, the ability to treat, that hopefully people that really do want to make a change in their life will make that change because we're going to help facilitate it. So these courts are sort of what everyone's moving towards because, as you said, the domestic violence incidents in the state of Washington are way too high. And in Spokane, they're higher than they are anywhere else in the state. So we have to do something. What we're doing right now is a Band-Aid approach. We really need to do something that sort of, tries to move the needle.
That's super exciting. That's good. I mean, it's moving forward. It's just, whether or not we can get all the nuts. And see, the problem is that these things all start off well-intended and they're on the right track. And then they succumb to the funding or something down the line. It'd be nice if we could build around it, kind of what I was just talking to Tim about, some strategy around it about keeping it funded and keeping it out in front. Even if we have to start small and get bigger, I'd rather do that than lose it all, and lose it to a pilot program or something. So anyway, that's super exciting, you guys. I can't wait to.
Well, that's the key point though, Mike, is remember, therapeutic courts are very effective when they are staffed and resourced correctly. So that's the reason why the group we want a little bit of time to go through and look at this, because we can't go forward with goals or objectives if we don't have a proper resource plan backing it up.
That's
so
right.
We got to sit down and talk about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. That's going to be good. Yeah, so hope you guys can develop how to run her, and I got to stop calling you Jen. Judge, I'm sorry. Judge, I keep calling you Jen because I called you Jen forever. So anyway, apologize. I know you're recognize you. Yeah,
You're fine.
So, okay, Justin, right back to you. I guess on the racial equity, we kind of got a slow start on. Oh, John, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, can somebody tell me about where the delta is funding wise for some of these treatments for DV court?
It's very high, Sheriff. I don't know if Judge Fossbender, what the current cost to send someone to DVIT is, but I believe, isn't it in the thousands?
It's in the thousands of dollars. I'm thinking at least, and just the generalization is 2,000 per participant. We did back in the day, Judge Wilson had gotten a DV grant just for treatment for those individuals that may qualify. And that was the generalized number in and of itself, I would say. But of course, that's, increased over the course of time.
So John, for your veterans court, it's $15,000 a year just to run the basic forum for the therapeutic side, not counting any of the treatment.
Right.
But the reason I'm asking is we move forward and work to resolve the jail overcrowding issue and things like that. When we look at programs we want to fund to reduce jail overcrowding, things like that, those are numbers we need to kind of have in hand to say, listen, these are the kind of programs that need funding. It's not a surprise to anybody here that it's ridiculous to ask some of these people to come up with $2,000. They're already struggling to make it end meet anyway. If they can even remain employed, we need to figure out.
Yeah, and that's so true, Sheriff. Yeah. I mean, they don't have the money to do it, and we're asking them to do it to comply with it. And they become a failure to comply about a dozen times before they actually complete it, which does nothing for the victim, because the victim meanwhile is being victimized by it. So, good
Well,
point.
thank you for giving me that information. That's something I can use to move forward.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, as soon as we start pouring in, John, you'll get, a copy of all of this stuff. So, okay. Justin, I know we got kind of, because we needed a racial and equity chair from Jennifer, but go ahead. Yeah.
So Mike, the Racial Equity Committee did meet on the 6th of December. Rochelle was very kind in coordinating a meeting between our committee, which is Rochelle, Colin, Katie, myself, with Marcus Stubblefield, who has headed up the King County race equity work. And Marcus is now the criminal justice manager for King County, essentially what you do. He is an absolutely amazing speaker and just a dynamic human being. He really had a good conversation with us about the realistic struggles of doing this work, and the how difficult it is many times to just sort of change the conversation and culture around race equity work, that it's all in our best interest to be inclusive. So we had a great meeting with him. The problem being that we were sort of in this, middle area, the purgatory that we've been in with the race equity chair. And so we'll probably need to take what we heard from Marcus and talk with our new chair and discuss what her aims are, and then provide that information and try to use that as a building block to get this whole committee going. Rochelle, I don't know what you want to maybe add to that about what we heard from Marcus, but she brought him to us, and it was a really worthwhile conversation.
Thanks, Justin. No, I think that's it. My main question was just kind of with Jennifer coming on board, if she has our info, so if we should just wait for her to reach out to us to set a meeting, so that way we can kind of talk about next steps and when she'll be up and running.
Okay. If you don't have that, I'll make sure you have it. I know that she included you as part of her conversations, preliminary conversations, but what I'll do is I'll have her contact both of you guys and you can put together next step. Do you guys kind of see it as bringing this gentleman in, getting some ideas from him, or what are you thinking, Justin?
Well, I think he was there to give us sort of a broad brush approach, one, what King County had done, his expertise, and then additionally just, I guess, I felt like we tried to give him the lay of the land, and he was providing just some insights, almost like what a consultant would do. I don't know. I think we really do need to talk with Jennifer Morton and figure out what she as chair wants to do. And if you do touch base, make sure to include all four of us that are active members: Colin, Katie, myself, and Rochelle, because all of us have been to literally every meeting. And I think you have pretty willing participants from all of us to continue doing this, regardless who's chair of the group.
Yeah, and particularly from some of the more tenured members, because she's going to need a little direction on, both the history and some of the future part of it, Justin. So that'll be a big help to her to kind of get the landscape painted and get her headed in the right direction. She seems very excited to do it, so I'm hoping that she gets busy on these things. We'll of course reach out to her again to make sure that we get the ball rolling on this part of it. Okay. And then on the mental health side of it, do we have anybody here that's involved with the mental health part of it? I don't see is Christy Ray in the gallery, in the audience, Padilla?
I don't think she is. I think Colin and Katie and I are all part of that, and we've had a couple meetings. In our last one, we looked at strengths and needs. And so for needs, we decided as a group of mental health professional for the public defenders or in Colin's area, and then one for here in juvenile in probation. we have a vacancy in detention. And then some discussion around maybe unifying these mental health services all under Christie. Because we're operating in these silos now, and I know they're helping us out now, and it's been beneficial where before over here at Juvenile, we're kind of our own island, and we lost a mental health professional applicant because just they were so siloed and they really wanted that team and that importance of consulting. So I think that'd be the same thing when we put somebody in Collins area, is that they have that team and that oversight.
Mhm.
So did
Yeah.
I miss anything, Colin and Katie?
Here. I know Colin's here.
Yeah, no, Tori, I don't think you missed anything. Mike, that's right. The only consideration I have, and I'll reach out to the DV court, there's been talk of funding for a social worker position in our office that may have passed the grant process. So I don't know if there'd be an overlap there. So that's going to require some further investigation on my part. So I'll look into that. And I can report back to our group too on what that would look like. There was some concern, just for everybody's information, at least from my perspective, about whether or not we could maintain confidentiality with a position like that and how that would work. I think there's a way to do it, but they would essentially have to be an agent of the public defender's office. So we've discussed that. And I think Tori and Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we just need a couple more meetings to figure out where we go next.
I think too, if we could tie in Tori and Colin, the Crisis Stabilization Center and have Medelia be a part of the conversation. Just even if it, there may not be any that they can add, but it's better to talk to them and see if there's anything they can help out along with this pulled strategy that you're talking about, Tori, and what that looks like. Do they have and I don't know the answer to this, do they have a MHP assigned to mental health court, specifically to that court? Do they have their own FTE for that, or is it from the jail? The jail provide the services for that? Does anyone know?
So I know for our mental health therapeutic court, there's 2 agencies that they work with that are independent of the court.
Okay.
They also coordinate with Pioneer as far as the stabilization center. So if there is a crisis, stabilization center could come over to the courtroom and or to the jail and take the individual straight over to the stabilization center. And so there's a real good connection on a daily basis. In fact, as far as letting the court know what kind of bed space they have at the time, if there is someone that's in need. And I was just looking here because I know that I have an individual for the county side that's going to be sitting in on the jail docket with me next week for the mental health aspect as well. Not from the stabilization center, but now I already forgot her name. And my apologies. I was just trying to look it up now. That because there is an individual that coordinates directly with the jail and the county mental health.
Okay. But are they at MHP? Do you know, Your Honor?
Sorry, say that again.
I was trying to find that, so just bear with me one moment.
Oh, no worries. Okay.
I know, and I think, and Aaron, I think you've met with her too. I had her come.
Jamie Knox, is that who you're talking about?
Is it Jamie Knox? Hold on, just. I know it's not specifically Jamie because I know her quite well.
Okay.
Okay, well, you'll find it and let us know. I don't want to put you on the spot, so you're like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Okay, well, that sounds good.
Shelley Cohen.
Oh, okay. I know Shelley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the forensic navigator unit.
Yep. Is that out of
so I guess
Justin
it's not necessarily
Johnson's
mental
office?
health as much as it is, but kind of along those lines.
Is that out of Justin Johnson's area, out of his realm, or do you know? Okay, I'm not sure where she works for. You said independent.
She's with Eastern
State Hospital? Oh,
yes.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I recognize. Okay. It seems like Justin Johnson should be a part of this conversation too. I would add his name to this too. Okay, well, and on the community corrections front, which is mine, obviously with the measure one not passing, we're not looking forward to any new construction right now. The challenge that we're having is that we still are not having the ability to have a lot of folks go out to Geiger. In fact, we're right at 100 or maybe 150 prisoners that can go out there. The count varies all the time. It's got seen at 175 and it's hit down. They're having a real challenge getting folks for work crews. I know we're down to 2 work crews out of Geiger, if people to qualify for it. The individuals that would necessarily go out there have been replaced with felons, quite honestly, and are gross misdemeanors and or don't qualify to go out to Geiger. So we're still working on that front. One of the things that I talked to Lieutenant Robinson about out at Geiger is now that we know that we're not going to have anything, at least over the next 5 years for a community correction center. It could be a little longer depending on if it goes back on the ballot for the voters to decide. We should be thinking about our functions inside the jail and reaching the demographic that is higher needs, higher recidivism rates and those type of folks. And if we need to shift our focus to that, I asked him to put together something reimagined about how they could address the services within the jail, and what that might look like. And okay, have a good one, Tori. And so we're looking at those things. We don't want to abandon the idea of having in custody programs or programming. We want to keep, providing those services, but it's very, very limited based on the profile of the offender population that we have right now, and then the space that we have downtown. So we're going to try to do the best that we can on both of those fronts. As soon as Jason is done with his kind of reimagined look at it, I'd be happy to share it with you guys and give you an idea of what he's thinking as far as programming in there. Ideally, what we'd like to do is complement the services that you all are doing. What would be most beneficial? Is there a part of that domestic violence or some of those treatment things that we can provide internally to have like a logical handoff to the public? We'd want to be in that role, to where we're actually helping out the courts to kind of achieve some of the goals that they want to achieve with the offenders that are coming in and out of there. So those are the things that we're working on that front. I'm going to be honest, it's been so busy over I haven't had a time to connect with Ashley Cameron over the hiring, some of the incentivizing and some of the, sign-on bonuses and retention things that they're working on. So as soon as I have an opportunity or I can get her an invite to come to the group, I'll have her come in and talk to everybody about the staff shortages and some of the needs that we need along those resources. So those are kind of all of the programs. Anybody else have anything else that they want to bring up without me having to put everybody on the spot and ask them?
I do want to give out a shout out to Jennifer Hawkins from Geiger. She did reach out to us and let us know that they're getting started back up on anger management and parenting classes out at Geiger and starting up some more work. So we're quite excited to hear that. So thank you.
Well, they're trying to do just whatever they can, trying to get whatever programs they can get going. And it's kind of, honestly, it's kind of shoestring, putting it together, but we're going to try to do the best that we can to keep some of these programs plugging along. So yeah, I did hear that. That's exciting. So, okay, anything before I adjourn? We have 7 minutes, but anything for the good of the cause here?
Hey, Mike, I wonder if we wouldn't be better served by having that early meeting the second week of February. The third week is cut short by President's Day. And I know that for the courts, that really kind of jams things, a 5-day calendar into a 4-day work week. And I assume that's true for everybody.
Yep. And I didn't introduce you because I didn't see your name on there, Judge Bency, but he's the new presiding judge. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So I will put that down there and ask if that's a good date too. And if they're open to it, then I'll just send that to the group. If you guys are open the second week of February, then we'll move that along. Okay. Any words of wisdom from you, Your Honor, or being back to the group or on the group?
obviously a lot of attempts at listening today, and I appreciate everybody's hard work. I don't have a lot to add. I will echo the sheriff's comments that, you know, it's easy for us to get very committed and confident in these programs and then forget about funding and forget about the additional work that it's going to create, because these great programs slow down the processing time as well. That takes more time from the prosecuting attorney's office, from the public defender's office, from jail staff, and or you know, community corrections staff. And it takes more court time to monitor those therapeutic cases and devote the time that's necessary to providing services and making sure that they're being followed through on. So those extra expenses and costs are very important as well.
Yes, I duly noted. Okay, well, welcome aboard. Careful what you wish for, that's all I can say. Okay, anything else from anyone? Okay, you guys have a great day. It's not snowing right now, so let's hope that it holds off a little bit more. Colin can get some golf games in. I mean, that's all we could ask for, right? So you guys enjoy your day. It was nice to see you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.